It is all too often said that there are no miracles performed these days. Well, we would like to challenge this idea with our story of Mission Impossible. Welcome to Miracles in the 21st Century. I'm Daniel Verkerker.
And I'm Kaysie Verkerker.
And so this story begins a little while ago. It's a story of how we met. It's a story of how we ended up together. And so for a very long time, the reason why why we titled this Mission Impossible is because, to me anyway, it seemed that it would be almost impossible to find someone. I had been trying for some time, and either I would be interested in someone, they would not be interested in me, or vice versa. And one day, my grandma told my mum that she saw this lovely young woman at this church, and she thought that this would be a person for me. And so I was told this, but at the time, I really wasn't. I guess I had my eye somewhere else, and I simply was not interested, and I didn't want someone else to tell me, who to end up with, and so I vehemently opposed this. And anyway, so that's where that stayed. Well, time passed, and I started thinking, this happened a little, maybe about a year or so before we started going out. I started thinking about my options. And so I started going through these lists, and I was praying. I said, Lord, how there's no one here. This person isn't interested in me. I'm not interested in that person. I'm really not interested in that person. And anyway, I started going through this list. And I said, who's left? Where do I go? What would I do? And a little voice said, well, what about Kaysie? And at this point, I should also say that Kaysie and I, we had
crossed
paths, but that was about it.
Didn't
we
really
knew,
know each other, hardly talked.
Yeah, we knew of each other's existence. That was about it.
That's about it. Mm.
And anyway, so I thought, oh, yeah, okay, I forgot about her. And anyway, so that's where that stayed. And at the time, Kaysie was working at Cedar Vale, and I thought, and I was aware of this, and I thought, well, how is it possible that I would even be able to go to Cedar Vale, or how often would I be able to cross paths with this person?
And that was a place that's about 3 hours away from where you lived, so it's
that's
quite
right.
a distance, quite a different
it was.
out of the way place.
And so it's like you just don't go there unless you make the very clear effort of going there. And I certainly didn't want to seem like a desperate person. I thought, oh, okay, well, it's just not going to work. There's no way. Also, I forgot to mention that I think it was prior to this that some of our friends recommended each of us to the other person. So Kaysie was recommended to me, and I was recommended to Kaysie. But at the time, neither of us were really interested at that point.
I think we both wrote each other off.
Yeah, we both wrote each other off. And so that was that. But a seed was planted. And so, anyway, so that so when I heard that voice, I didn't dismiss it, and but I also didn't act. But then again, I don't know how long, how much time passed. It was, anyway, and I prayed again. I said, Lord, where am I going to meet someone? Like, there's no way. Like, I'm not interested in this person, this person, this person. That person doesn't like me. This person doesn't like me, and so on. Like, how am I going to find someone? And again, the voice said, well, what about Kaysie? That was the second time. Now, I'm not entirely sure if there was a third time that God spoke, but I definitely know that there were these 2 times. And I thought, okay, well, maybe I really shouldn't write this off. So one day, some friends decided that they would go and have a couples retreat, and they invited me. And I thought at the time, and this was at Cedarvale, where Kaysie was working. Well, yeah. And but at the time, I didn't quite think about that. I only thought, okay, a couples camp. I'm a single person. Why would I want to be there? Because there are all of these couples, and some of them had kids, and it was like there's no single people here whatsoever. And anyway, but I also thought, you know what? I haven't actually been to Cedarvale, and that would be a really and I had thought about going there before, and anyway, so I thought, okay, maybe that's not such a bad idea. And I also thought, okay, well, if one of the couples is available, I would talk to them while the other one is tending to the child and so on. And so anyway, I thought, they're my friends, why not? And so I decided to go. And as I was driving on my way there, I thought, Kaysie's working there. Oh, that would be nice if I could spend, like, if she was there, if I could spend a little bit of time with her to get to know her possibly. But then I also thought, no, she's probably found someone by now and there's no chance anyway. And so I wrote it off. And anyway, so that's my part of the story at the moment. Hun, did you want to say anything from your side?
Well, you were coming to Cedarvale. You were coming to this place. Cedarvale is a place that's a health retreat where I was working. And at the time, I was on holiday break. So we had finished working for the year and I was on break. And normally I go away and visit family at that time. But for some reason, I was actually pretty run down. And I decided to stay home at Cedarvale for another week just to rest and do some quiet things. And that meant that I was in a place that I wouldn't ordinarily be. And I didn't know about any plans. I only vaguely knew that some people were coming to camp on the property, but I had no idea what was happening, except that when these people came, they invited me to join in their gathering. So these couples all invited me, hey, come socialize with us, just come. And I had no clue that he was potentially coming. And so I just went there because I was invited. But when I did find out that he was coming, let's put it, I was thinking, oh no, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? This seems so bad, I'm the only single girl and he's a single person coming, and we're amongst all these couples, and some of these couples had talked about matchmaking other people, and I was thinking, no, they're just going to start matchmaking us, and I should just retreat and not attend. I'll just pretend. Disaster
was looming.
Yes, yeah. Like I should just, make myself scarce. And so that's how I felt when you came.
Okay. And so I arrived there, And sure enough, so they were all in this activity center. It was a decent-sized building, and anyway, they were all there. Some were preparing food, others were talking, and Kaysie, I saw through the window, was sitting across this very nice young man, and they were playing a board game, and they seemed like they were having a wonderful time. And so I thought, well, there you go, that's it. It was good while the thought lasted, but no way, she's found someone. That's the end of that one.
Again, default impossible.
Yeah, impossible. And so, but I still went in, and we just started talking, and this was, I think, over dishes, and we realized that we had quite a lot in common. And at this time, I think I may even have been told that the person that she was sitting across from was her cousin. So I was elated because there was still a chance. And so as we were talking, we just realized that there was quite a lot that we could talk about. And
also we found that our personalities just seemed to click. It was easy to talk to each other. And so we ended up, because Daniel was there for a couple of days and we were just relaxing, socializing with our friends, there was, for the first time, an opportunity to get to know each other. And we enjoyed that experience, and I guess it went from there, didn't it?
It did. And I'd also like to say, from my perspective, now there's also another side of our story as to how we got married and so on. Maybe we'll say that later. But from my perspective, all the things that I had wanted for in a wife, God has given me in Kaysie, and even more. And so I am convinced that if God can answer my prayer, though I had to wait, but it was worth the wait, He can certainly answer your prayer. And He does perform miracles in the 21st century because He performed it for us.
And especially when we thought it was impossible, and you thought it was impossible, and God can bring people together that it would seem impossible. So that's something that was very inspiring in our experience.